ready for BFOs. "You're not alone, you know," said Ted. "Victimhood is the malaise of humanity. It is everywhere, in every language. Most news reports are stories of victims and persecutors and sometimes rescuers. People look for someone to blame. Sometimes they demand compensation for their victimization. Sometimes they strike back. Terrorists attack and leave victims in their wake, all the while describing themselves as victims of oppression. On the roadways, some drivers feel so victimized by the chaos of traffic that they're filled with rage and lash out. People talk about being victims of abuse and neglect, victims of alcoholic or drug-addicted parents, even victims of birth order among siblings. At work, people talk about their victimization at the hands of an insensitive boss, a backstabbing coworker, or the company they work for. Some people feel constantly victimized by that elusive goblin they call the system. I let his words sink in. As I thought about how often I gave voice to my own sense of victimhood, I offered, "It's amazing, isn't it, how often we use the blaming words of victimization. The traffic made me late. I got up on the wrong side of the bed. I ended up in the wrong lane at the grocery store." The examples are endless. There must be a better way. Ted turned and put his hand on my shoulder. "It's true. There is." I asked him, "But who are you anyway? What brings you to this spot overlooking the beach?" Ted wrapped his hands around his staff and looked out at the scene before us. "I come here a lot, to take in the ocean and to do the kind of contemplation that just naturally arises in this beautiful place. Today I saw you here, so I came over to sit and share a few thoughts." "Thoughts about what?" "About the very subject you introduced, about being a victim and the desire for a different way of being in the world. I've learned a few things that I think you may find useful, things that may surprise you." "Well, if you know something that I don't, I mean about not being a victim, well, then I'm all ears," I said. "Good," said Ted. "You need to know, however, that what I have to say could make you a little uncomfortable. That's because what I say will probably challenge the ways you engage with just about every area of your life. Your relationships, your work, the way you deal with disappointments, everything. Are you up for that?" I looked out at the waves rising and rolling into the shore. Why had this spirited stranger suddenly shown up by my side? The encounter had a dreamlike quality. I wasn't sure what to say. I could have got up and walked away, but I didn't want to. Somehow I felt entirely at ease with Ted, and I was intrigued. Ted continued, "If this sounds interesting to you, and you want to hear more, then it's only fair to warn you. Be prepared to be visited by BFOs. I chuckled and turned to him. "I'm going to be visited by UFOs? "No, BFOs. A BFO is a blinding flash of the obvious. It's something you already know, but which lies just beneath the edge of your conscious awareness. When they come, welcome them. A BFO is a very positive sign. It means that you are awakening to new ways of thinking and being." "Oh, good. For a minute there I thought you were about to tell me that you were from outer space." I laughed. "If anything, I'm from inner space." "Who are you then?" I said. "Just a friend, bringing you a lighthearted approach to a most serious subject, how you relate to your life experiences. You could say I'm a countercultural type. I live in the world in my own way. So many people meet their life experience from the victim orientation, just as you've begun to notice for yourself. I have a different orientation. It's a simple way of being, though it's not always easy. I guess I'm also a revolutionary, or rather an evolutionary. As an evolutionary facilitator, I'd like to offer you another way to live, if you choose it. At the end of the day, what you do will always be your choice. No one can ever take that away from you. In fact, it's why you're here, to make the choices that create your life. It was a lot to take in. I searched his face. He didn't look like a fanatic. In fact, the gentleness in his eyes made me feel relaxed in spite of all my recent turmoil. He added, I won't mind if you'd rather not do this right now, you know. It's entirely up to you. In the end, it's all about choice. My choice. I sat another moment in silence as Ted waited patiently. Should I leave or stay and see where this weird conversation might go? I decided I had nothing to lose, and anyway, listening to Ted was already a lot more interesting than wallowing in the worries that had brought me up here in the first place. Would you like to walk with me for a while, down on the beach? Asked Ted. Okay, sure. Ted and I got up together and started down the meandering path to the shore. Little did I know that I was setting out on the path to a whole new way of seeing.